Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's 10 at 10, where I come at you every Monday through Friday at approximately 10 a.m. Today was exactly 10 a.m. Eastern, New York City time for approximately 10 minutes, usually a little bit longer. And we come at you live on Facebook Live, live on Instagram Live, archived also on Apple Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us, and also on YouTube as well. When you're entering, you can share where you are in the world. Welcome, Christopher. Welcome, Jessica. The names on Instagram are more complicated for me, the IDs, but Blessed Rising, yes, for sure. Tisa's here. Hi, Tisa. Where you are, what's happening for you? I'm back in Asheville, North Carolina. Jessica says today is her birthday. Jessica's in Sweden. Happy birthday, Jessica. I'm so glad that you were born. It's also uh, it's also April Fool's Day. And I did a great April Fool's prank on Annie this morning. I told her I was diagnosed with a rare disease that affects my blood and makes me horny all the time. She believed me until I told her it was April Fool's joke. So that was really fun. And the sun is out. Sun is out. Sun's it's going to be a beautiful early spring day, and I got some fun stuff to get in with you today. Some really great stuff to get into with you today. So so let's get on with it. Start with 3 deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And just that moment of the depth of breath and connection within. There's a groundedness. There's a thanks for the hearts, everybody. There's a groundedness. There's a presence that attunes you to this moment and allows the intelligence of this moment to move through us in a unified field together. So, most of us know that we have the potential to create the future, right? Like, oh, what do we want to do today? I want to do this. We imagine the future. We think about the future. We set goals. We have visions. We have dreams. We have whatever we have, right? That projects itself into the future. And then we are an agent, a creative agent of creating the story of the future. And we create the story of the future in the present moment. We always create the story of the future in the present moment, right? We talked about this a little bit in a previous episode, and the potential power of realizing this, of realizing that we imagine the future in the present because there actually is no future. The future actually never comes. We only ever imagine the future in the present. That's an amazing realization. I mean, that alone is like, there's few things that are more life-changing than that, except for this. What I'm about to share with you right now is even more life-changing. And less people know about this. We also create the past in the present. You say, how do we create the past in the present? The past already happened. We create the past in the present moment because the past is a story. right? We're telling a story about the past, just like we're telling a story about the future. Telling a story about the past, just like we're telling a story about the future. So as you start to awaken in consciousness, you start to liberate yourself from the story that you thought was you. You start to liberate yourself from the story that you thought was you, from the story that you thought was your past. And you're able to recreate your past the same way you're able to recreate your future. So you thought your future was going to go a certain way, but as you start to awaken in consciousness, you start to be able to create the future from the deepest place of a liberated imagination. And you're able to recreate your past from the deepest place of liberated imagination. So you thought that, oh, this is the way it is. This is what happened. This was so horrible. This was so terrible. I'm the victim. Everything is, I should have such shame. I should have such blame for myself. I should blame other people. All this stuff starts to open and shift and move into this other open space of infinite possibility. And the recognition and realization enters that story that I've been telling about the past, about that time 10 years ago, that story I've been telling over and over and over and over, and how terrible it is, and how worthless I am, and what a terrible life I have, and what a poor lot I have. All of the stuff that I've been telling myself about that incident, and I've been telling other people, of course, about that incident. I can tell that story a different way because the story is just a story. There's no inherent truth to any story. That's what's so fun about April Fool's Day, right? It's like a day to tell stories. And there's this recognition that everything is a story, right? So, for example, we tell a story about how, oh, I had a terrible mother and she was so mean to me, and she was, whatever, they became verbally abusive and so forth and so on, right? And then you have a story of like, oh, actually, my mother was someone that was in a lot of pain and difficulty in her life, and she was doing the best that she could. And I'm so glad that I came in this incarnation to support her and assist her, in this time, right? So it doesn't mean you're changing the facts. You're changing the story about the facts, right? It doesn't mean you're changing the facts. You're changing the story about the facts. And the story about the facts is totally up to you. What is seen as a problem when you change the story becomes what was the opportunity, right? So in my case, I had chronic fatigue syndrome when I was 20, and it was this terrible illness. Welcome, Danielle. That came down to sorry, I'm reading some of the comments, that afflicted me, right? And I can tell a story about how this was a terrible thing that happened to me, and it was unexpected, and it's not really fair. It's not just. Why do other people get to be healthy at the age of 20 and I don't get to be healthy, right? I could tell you that story, but the story that I'm going to tell you is actually that it was the greatest opportunity for me. That it was the life-changing moment. It was the pivot point in my life that opened me up to really deepen into who I really am, what I'm here to discover in this world, realizing who I am, how to express myself in this world. It was what started what we could call my spiritual path, my spiritual journey, right? It was this one-pointed opening into realizing that who I am. It's the thing I have the most gratitude for. So while I could tell a story about how it was a terrible thing, I'm actually telling you a story about what I had the most gratitude for. And we can look at everything in our past and sort of rewrite the story now in the present. It's the only time we can do it is in the present. We can rewrite the stories of the past in the present. So we start to rewrite the story. Now, the amazing thing is, on Instagram, she goes, MS gave me my life. Exactly. I mean, there's so many stories of people that have been through difficult situations, whether it's illness, whether it's difficulty, a relationship that's abusive, or poverty, or these different situations that people write the story of how that was the opportunity for them to make their breakthrough, right? That becomes the story. That becomes the narrative that they tell as the author of their story. And we're the author of our own story, right? So I was getting to what Danielle, exactly. So the past, when you rewrite the story of the past, you're also rewriting the story of your future. How could it be any other way? So when you rewrite the story of the future, you're rewriting the story of the past. When you're rewriting the story of the past, you're rewriting the story of the future. They're interconnected. They're part of the same story. So it's almost like there's a term people use, timelines, like you're jumping timelines, right? Is a term people use. You're changing the story. You're changing the story, you're changing your vibrational frequency, you're changing everything that's emanates from who you are in this moment. And the source point, the start point, is this moment. And that's the greatest news of all. So no matter what happened in the past, no matter what happened to you in the past, how many times you've done it wrong, how many times you failed, how many times you've been beat down, how many times it shouldn't have gone this way or that way, how bleak the future looks, right? All of that is a story. All of that is a story. And in this moment, we have the opportunity through what? Being present. Through being present, through being awake to who we really are in the timeless now, in this moment, we have the ability to rewrite the future and to rewrite the past. Self-awareness. So much love and appreciation for you all. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you here same time tomorrow.